The Titaness at the threshold, in the twilight of the world's first breath, when mountains still whispered their names to the clouds and oceans pulsed with the dreams of sleeping gods, there walked a solitary figure cloaked in shadows and starlight. Hecate, the Titaness of the liminal, the arcane, and the forsaken, moved with solemn purpose along the borders of the living and the dead. Her presence was felt in the rustle of wind through dry leaves, the flicker of will-o'-the-wisps over marshes, the stillness before the storm. She bore two torches, flames not of fire, but of memory and prophecy, and where their light fell, the unseen was made visible. She was neither Olympian nor fully Titan now, for the wars of old had fractured divine allegiance. While Zeus took the sky and Poseidon the sea, and Hades burrowed into the underworld, Hecate claimed the spaces between. She was a goddess of passage, of transformation where endings became beginnings, and the familiar twisted into the unknown. In those early eons, magic was raw and wild. It surged through ley lines like blood in veins, seeking form, seeking guardians. Hecate, peering through the mists of what might be, saw a vision that chilled even her, a world spiraling into imbalance, where unchecked light would blind and unbridled dark would consume, a void unanchored by wisdom. And so, in the hush between thunderclaps and moonrises, she conceived a legacy not of heirs, but of kindred. She would forge the first coven.
Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Is It Real? Also, I compel you to share your thoughts in the comment box below.
Under a blood-red moon that hung low and gravid with power, Hecate descended to a hidden crossroads, one unseen by mortal eyes, where time nodded and fate coiled like serpents. There stood a gnarled oak older than memory, its bark etched by stars and winds from the void. With the edge of her obsidian dagger, she carved 9 sigils into its trunk, each glowing briefly with otherworldly fire. From distant lands and forgotten villages, her summons echoed like a dream half remembered. 9 mortal women answered, each marked by the world as strange, cursed, or dangerous. There was Melia, a green-eyed herbalist cast out for healing wounds that should have killed. Skylia, a girl who spoke in riddles beneath the full moon, her eyes mirrors to distant stars. Enodia, a war widow who heard the voices of the battlefield's dead and wept with them nightly. And 6 others, wise, wounded, brilliant, brave, each a fragment of Hecate herself. To them, the goddess offered neither immortality nor glory, but something deeper, purpose. "You are not broken," she said, her voice both thunder and whisper. "You are awake. Drink of me and become what the world fears, its salvation." They drank from a chalice wrought of obsidian, filled with a draught of nightshade, starlight, and river water collected beneath eclipses. Their hearts ceased, their spirits burned anew. Thus were born the Nighturide's daughters of the night.
You're watching Is It Real? Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, unless you want to regret ignoring me.
The art arcane, for ages hidden from mortal sight, the Nighturides studied in Hecate's sacred sanctums. Deep in the grove of Nysa, beneath trees that bled silver sap and whispered in forgotten tongues, they trained. Days passed as decades. Night shimmered with lessons wrapped in enigma. Melia became one with the herbs of the earth. She could speak to mandrakes, tame wolfsbane, and blend poisons. Her fingers turned green with chlorophyll and magic. Skylia, attuned to the moon, learned the rhythms of time itself. She charted lunar eclipses as others did stars, using moonlight to bend perception, slow decay, and even glimpse into dreams yet dreams. Enodia, fiercest among them, bonded with crossroads. She rode the spectral hounds that guarded thresholds and learned to traverse not just realms, but decisions steering fate itself. Others found their callings, crafting familiars from shadows, speaking the language of stones, weaving veils to hide the sacred from the profane. And always Hecate watched. She taught not just spells, but balance. Magic, she warned them, is a blade that cuts both the wielder and the world. Bind it with intention, guide it with love, or it will unmake you.
Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Is It Real? I'll be watching you, mortal.
The Trial of Shadows centuries later, peace shattered like glass struck by a god's hand. From the deep beyond, Erebos, the ancient darkness predating even chaos, stirred. It was a hunger, not a being, a shadow seeking dominion, a whisper that drove kings to madness and turned harvests to rot. The Olympians, smug in their thrones, dismissed the threat. Let the mortals suffer, Ares sneered. They breed like rabbits. But Hecate knew, if Erebos broke through, it would consume all divine and mortal alike. With no other champions, she turned to her daughters. Armed with talismans bound in bone and bronze, and torches fed by Hecate's own flame, the Nycterites descended through the black chasm into the underworld's edge. There, the veil thinned, and Erebos' essence leaked like ink into water. The witches accord when they returned, the sky-wept stars. Even the gods could not deny their triumph. Zeus, with reluctant admiration, proclaimed, "Let them keep their crafts so long as they remember balance." And so the Nycterites were granted dominion over witchcraft, recognized not as threats, but as keepers of equilibrium. They scattered, each founding a hidden lineage, bloodlines of cunning folk, seers, herbalists, and midwives. They wrote in grimoires bound in ivy and inked with crow feathers. They taught in riddles and rhymes, hiding wisdom in lullabies, and Hecate, she remained. The eternal gathering even now, in the hush between midnight and dawn. When the moon is black and owls fall silent, the daughters of Hecate gather at forgotten crossroads. They chant not for power, but for remembrance. They light torches against the dark, not to banish it, but to honor it. Their oath, ancient and unbroken, still echoes. By torch and key, we keep the veil. By dark and light, we prevail. And in that sacred space between fear and reverence, Hecate watches. She smiles not with pride, but with certainty. Her torches remain lit, her legacy endures, and the first coven lives on. They chanted in tongues that bled the ears. Shadows writhed. Time bent. Enodia confronted Erebos at a nexus of infinite paths. As it tried to swallow her, she flung open all doors at once, overwhelming the darkness with potential. Skylia carved a prism of moonlight and trapped the heart of the abyss within it. Melia summoned vines thorned with memory, each bloom a life once lost, and sealed the wound in reality with grief made beautiful. The battle left scars in the world and in them. 2 sisters were lost, their names burned from record to protect their rest.